All right, public forum regarding agenda items. Resolution to appoint part-time water clerk. Resolution to appoint Kathleen Bennett, finish off the term of Jeff Clark for the town attorney. And a resolution to award white glove cleaning services, a cleaning contract for the town of Shelby. No, sir, that's it. Dale Root, highway report.
Good evening. For the most, a very busy and productive month. We started off with taking plow equipment off the trucks and putting it away. Carwell Company came and oiled all the equipment that worked in the salt, treating them in hopes of preventing rust. The mowers were brought into the shop and serviced in preparation of spring. The parks, the vaults, and the fire halls have been mowed a few times. Sent the Harley rake out throughout the town in an effort to fix issues that the plows created. Harley rake was sent to the town of Barry to assist them through shared services, cleaning their park up. The 3 dirt roads were graded after stone was hauled in. They look very good. Millennium Roads will be in to apply a dust control agent soon. The oil water separator tank was exposed and vacked out. NOCO performed that service. Met with rural water and worked on some policy and reportings. We had a water main break on East Shelby Road, which is number 11. It's all repaired and back in service. Also this morning it was discovered that we have another main break on Saltworks Road. With paving scheduled, it was for tomorrow, but not anymore. The valves were shut off. The leak was isolated. The bypass valves were turned on. No one is affected. The stakeout was called in. We will have time to acquire material and coordinate with the village on getting their vac truck. The town was very fortunate to help the village of Medina milling their streets. We added to our pile of millings available to us. We will assist them when they start paving soon. Again, the town had good fortune that when the village finished milling, we were able to acquire the mill to do our parking lot in preparation to paving. We saved a few $1,000s by not having to pay for trucking to get the mill here. That said, Keeler Construction Company came in Thursday and Monday to pave, as they will be paving the village streets. We again had savings to the town. They did an amazing job. The parking lot looks great, I think. Thank you, Keeler, for all that you have done. Your men did a wonderful job. Kudos to the town of Barry, Clarendon, Ridgeway, and the village of Medina, and the county highway department for lent machinery. As a town, we are fortunate to have such good rapport with them all. During the last month, we rolled the cemeteries, had some burials, started the roadside mowing today, and always the never-ending stacking of e-waste. Thank you.
Thank you, Dale. Trish is tied up, so there won't be an assessor's report tonight. Planning board report.
At our last meeting, we were going to originally have a meeting with an applicant who wanted to put a farm labor camp in. And at the very last minute, when Dan showed up for our meeting that night, told me that the applicant is backed out. So we kind of went over farm labor camps with Dan just to kind of refresh with the planning board members. I also have done up a list of all the planning board members going back 5-6 years of all their training, keeping track of how many hours each year that they're taking, handed it out to all the planning board members and asked them to review it. Any problems or issues with it, to bring it to our next board meeting. And that's it.
Thank you, Kirk. Dan, zoning report?
Code enforcement report for April and May. I was absent the last meeting. I was on vacation. April and May had 7 building permits total. Since the first of the year, I've issued 10 violation letters and ordered a remedy. I'd have 50% response on those letters. There are some folks who are actively wanting to clean their properties. April and May brings my annual fire safety inspection for Western New York Energy and Air Products. I've completed that. I've also completed my Department of State training with the required 24 hours of training, and I've received through online training also 28 hours. Local law number 1 of the year of 1981 provides for the repair and or removal of unsafe buildings, and this is my investigation and report. Dear Town Board members, be advised that I have inspected 10234 Johnson Road. It is my opinion that this structure is unsafe for the general public, has become a place of rodent infestation, and is unfit for the purposes for which it may be lawfully used. I have condemned and placarded the structure. I recommend the structure, house and garage, be removed by demolition. Very truly yours, Dan Wolf, Code Enforcement Officer, Town of Shelby. And I'll leave the file with
Thanks, Dan. All right, resolution to approve the April 11th, 2023 Town Board meeting minutes. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution to approve the clerk's report for April. Any motion?
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Again, problem with the software. There is no supervisor's report. We're working with the company to get that resolved. Same with the same company runs a water clerk's department. We're having an issue there. Resolution to approve to pay the claims against the town. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution to appoint a part-time water clerk at $19 an hour. Can I get a motion?
So move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution for the appointment of Kathleen Bennett to finish off the term of Jeff Clark, the town attorney, with the same contract as Jeff Clark.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
Just in case there's anybody who's curious out there, I turned 65 this year. I'm retiring from the law firm of Bond, Shennick and King. Kathleen Bennett, down at the end, is a member of that same law firm. She's much younger and much smarter than I am, so you're upgrading here for the same price.
Resolution to award cleaning contract to White Glove Cleaning Services effective May 1st, 2023 through April 30th, 2024.
So moved.
Oh, we didn't take a vote. Okay, my mistake. Yep. All right. Resolution to appoint Kathleen Bennett to replace Jeff Clark, Town Attorney, same contract. Can I get a motion?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
As I was. Resolution to award cleaning service contract to White Glove Cleaning Service effective May 1st, 2023 to April 30th, 2024. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
No second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We'll open it up to board comments, Jeff. John?
I've got nothing at this time.
Ed?
Yeah, I've got a couple comments regarding the assessments that came out last week. I talked to the assessor yesterday, and she kind of gave me some direction. This is not New York State mandated, so it's totally up to her discretion to reassess. And she claims that the state kind of guides her on the your property values on the houses and stuff. But as far as I'm concerned, this is absolutely outrageous. The taxes, they say it's not going to go up. Taxes never go down; they're always going to go up. And there's got to be a way to stop this, and I'm going to see what I can do. That they come into effect July 1st. We only can control the town tax. We cannot control the school tax or the fire tax, which is on full assessment. So the way I look at it, our taxes are going to go skyrocket, and I don't see how we're going to stop it. So thanks for your attention.
Kathy, you want to introduce yourself, Brandon?
Yeah, so my name's my name's Kathleen Bennett. I'm an attorney with Bond, Shinnick & King. I've actually been practicing for about 25 years, so not quite as young as Jeff made me out to be, but thanks. I do a lot of municipal and land use work, so I'm happy to be assisting the town. I also do a lot of tax assessment work, eminent domain work, and so I can comment on that a little bit if you want. Or so with respect to reassessments, generally the assessor has the authority to do a revaluation. She's an independent person, so her responsibility is to make sure that all property within the town is assessed at 100% of fair market value. In other words, what you could get on the open market between a willing buyer and a willing seller if you were to sell your property. The way that the New York State statutes are written, she is to look at the condition and use of your property as of March 1st. So if you had a house on it on March 1st, she's going to look at the condition of your house on March 1st. She is required to place a value on it based on the property values for the previous July 1st. So that's how the statutes are written. I'm not saying they make sense, but that's what they say. So she's to look at property values in the town as of July 1st, 2022 to set the assessed values for 2023 going forward for this year. And once that's done, this board cannot undo that assessment role. There's case law, there's comptroller's opinions on that, that once she's established the assessment role, that's her judgment of value, that's her responsibility. This town does not have the authority to set that assessment role aside. What this town's authority is then to do is to look at its spending, look at its budget, and make sure taxes stay in line with what they have been. Obviously, if people don't agree with what their assessment is, there's a grievance day, there's a board of assessment review. You're all able to file a grievance and appear in front of that board with whatever evidence you think you have to show that you don't think you could sell your property on the market for what the assessor claims it's worth. That's basically the standard that the Board of Assessment Review will consider. And is it next Tuesday for Shelby, or does Shelby have a different day? The 24th? So thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. She's currently our land use attorney, so she's gonna be our town attorney also. Okay, that's everything for the board. You have anything else, I guess? No? I'll open it up for public comments on the agenda items. Yeah, go ahead, Dad.
I encourage the board, if you get a minute, to drive out to 10234 Johnson Road. You make a right on Johnson Road, go down a half a mile, it's on the left-hand side, you can't miss it. Personally, it grieves me when the taxpayers have to take down a structure. It bothers me because I'm a taxpayer. We did one last year across from Gordy Grimes. It was abandoned, and there was no other recourse. And the town got it down and buried for $2,500. I personally don't like it, but also don't like eyesores in the town of Shelby. In this case, the owner's deceased, and if you go out and take a look at it and walk around the property, you say, you know, why is this even standing? So I invite you to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Okay, I got a list here. Marguerite Sherman.
I'm Marguerite Sherman. I'm a trustee with the Village of Medina. Back in this past fall, the Mustang Sports Boosters, working through the school, had approached the Village of Medina about putting in some basketball courts in one of the parks. And they see a need. There are no basketball courts since town school closed for the residents of Shelby and Ridgeway to use. And in February, I sent everyone an email, unless it got kicked back, but then I followed up with a paper copy of my email, reaching out to you to see if maybe you would be willing to use some of your ARPA funds to help us fund these basketball courts along with the sports boosters. And since then, we have been getting quotes, and we've been moving forward with the possibility. We found a place at Butts Park to get the basketball courts. We did reach out to the town of Ridgeway to help fund these basketball courts, but they're not allowed to do it with their ARPA funds because the Butts Park falls within the town of Shelby and not Ridgeway, so they can't use their funds for that. So just to follow up, when I initially sent your email, we had estimates of these basketball courts being about $166,000 for 2 full courts in Butts Park where the old skating rink was. And then we have met with some companies, and we have it down to about just a little less than $125,000, but that doesn't include the actual hoops and backboards. The Village of Medina has committed $110,000 to these courts. The Mustang Sports Boosters is committing to about $13,200 to these basketball courts. What we have left is just under $10,000 to purchase the hoops right now. $9,846. I will give you the quote. I'll hand you a copy of it. So I'm just coming to ask you, as a resident, we have kids playing basketball in the streets right now. They come in, they set up their hoops on the edges of their property, and they're playing in the streets. That's a concern of mine for our children. But I do know that with our skate park, when we had the skating rink, with our joint rec program, it's for all of Shelby and Ridgeway residents. So it incorporates all of our kids. So I'm just asking if you would, once again, please consider using some of your ARPA funds to help us finish paying for these basketball courts. Right now, I feel really bad that the sports boosters do all this fundraising and they're using half of what they have in their account to put toward these basketball courts, which I feel bad about, but the village is doing all that they can, and we've done about as much as we can with $110,000. So I would ask you to consider either the just under $10,000, or even take up the sports boosters share of it, which is $13,200 to be exact. That would be even better, but we will take anything that we can get to help our kids. So I will give the clerk, the deputy clerk, the quote that we have for the basketball courts and the quote for the hoops. Right now, it's for your review. And does anyone have any questions?
That would be 2 complete courts.
2 full basketball courts, yes. Right next to the skate park. We're going to be bringing in some clay that we have. We have to build it up because, it's so low from where the old skating rink was. And the Village of Medina is going to be, working to do that and to help save some of the cost. And actually, our quotes are with the Village of Medina, supplying their own clay. We're looking for stone, we're looking for anything to help reduce the costs, but I think it's going to be money, I know it's going to be money well spent in our park. Oh, I'm sorry. So we had a 30-day time frame to commit to the pricing of the courts, which we are going to do. They would like to start them in July and do at least the paving in July and August. The 30-day quote is, they gave it to us May 8th, which is why I'm coming here without being officially on the agenda, because we're just having things come together. And we have till June 8th to give a verbal agreement for them to start the work, which we are going to do, because we're at least going to put our $110,000 in to get it going. And then we're just trying to get them completed. Right, just follow up from my email, so. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, Marguerite. Okay, Mike Zellini? Is that Mike Zellini? Okay.
I would just like to address a few points of information with regard to the assessments. That's okay to do? Okay. So there was an informational meeting that Tricia Lashevsky and Julie Cicchini put on maybe a year ago. Tim was there at the coffee shop in Medina, and it was trying to give some information to the public about the upcoming reevaluation. And they indicated that they had put that off, I don't remember exactly, a year or two, because they wanted to get beyond that real estate boom, or whatever you want to call it, that was going on in the county. So they were waiting for things to kind of shake down with regard to what houses were selling for before they went ahead and did that. And I don't recall exactly how many years it had been since it was done, but I guess it had been a while. And periodically, it makes sense that that's got to be done, because houses may get increased or decreased or whatever over the years, but after a certain period of time, you've got to, just take a look at it. And the idea is, my understanding is to just get everybody on an equal plane based on what their values are supposed to be. So given that, I mean, my take on it is, if, let's just say, for instance, my house went up, the assessment went up by 40%. I'm just picking a number. Okay. If the average in the town, everybody else's house went up on average of 40%, then theoretically my tax bill should not be any higher, because I should still stay right at the same level. The reality is probably some houses maybe went up 20%, some houses went up 40, some went up 60. And again, I'm just picking a number here as a gauge. So people's tax bills will go up some if their houses were undervalued or their land was undervalued in comparison to comparable properties in the past, or they're going to go the other way, one way or the other. But this is trying to get everything adjusted. So the other variable in the equation, it's tax rate. That's the other variable. Tax rate times assessment equals the dollar amounts that we pay for property taxes. So it's up to the town board to make sure, and we expect you to do so, to make sure that tax rate should be comparably lower, so that, assuming the same budget from this year to next year, we should be paying pretty much the same amount of total tax dollars. So that tax rate's got to go down. So you just cannot be keeping the tax rate the same on the new assessments, because then that would be a huge increase for all the taxpayers. And I don't think that they would stand for that, as you know. So, and that holds true for that fire rate too. So that, that fire tax would not necessarily, the dollars would not necessarily have to increase, as long as you, the board, make sure that tax rate is adjusted accordingly. Because you're going to need to generate so many dollars for your budget, right? And like I say, that tax rate is the other variable. So I guess as taxpayers, we'd be looking to see that rate be much lower, again, so our overall dollars pretty much stay the same, as well as other exemptions that might come into play, however the assessor's office figures those. But I realize some of us will get hit a little bit, and some hopefully not, too crazy, and maybe some might even have some increases, and some may not change at all very much. So we're just looking to, I just wanted to bring out those points of information. I can't really say I'm looking for anything, but I'm just trying to bring out those points of information. But I will say, and I won't say anything more than just this one comment about the grievance process. I just think that needs to be reformed. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Mike. Just a random poll, Shelby citizens. How many of you guys want, we have ARPA funds left over to use that for the playground? How many people, if we have ARPA funds left over, want us to use that $10, $13, $20,000 for the playground? Give me a show of hands. Okay, that was just a random poll. Thanks. They got anything going for that, Tim?
Elgin's replaced the toilet several times. We have to have mapped that.
One of the reasons that, we've chosen Bucks Park is because the skate park is there, and then it's easier to police if you have your basketball courts in the skate park right there. We're never going to stop all of the vandalism, but we're doing what we can to do
simple. There is security lighting there. A lot of the kids nowadays, they're respecting it because they know that they're learning a lesson.
Alrighty. Yeah, anyone got anything else? Yes, ma'am. If you could, state your name for the.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sherry Wheatley. I live in West Shelby Road, and around the corner is the cemetery, and way back in the corner of the cemetery is this old outhouse that the roof has holes in it, and it's starting to deteriorate, and I would love to purchase it and put it on my farm on West Shelby Road. What's that? Yeah, the building. Yep, I would put a new roof on it. What I wanted to do is put it right up against my house and keep it, you know, it's a privy, keep the three-holer thing, and just turn it into, like, put my garden rakes and stuff like in there, repurpose that. Maybe put a little sign, you know, that it can, you know, it's gonna stay in West Shelby. It's really starting to fall apart. It doesn't look loved at all. It looks really sad.
Is there any use?
I gave
Is
Dale
that
a
building doing
letter.
anything, Dale?
Nope, it just sits there.
Yeah, it's sitting there.
Dan, Kirk, you guys got a? Well, I just wanted to hear what you guys said before we talk about it, so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Come on up. State your name to Dorothy.
Senior, Main Street, Shelby. Just had a couple things I wanted to follow up on. In the last meeting, I had mentioned the burn ban. I think we, again, didn't do a very good job in educating the public. I did see the little square on the website, but I didn't see any mass text go out advising people of that. We did have several instances with the neighbors. One that we actually had to call, and they said we'll send a fire chief over, have a talk with them. That didn't happen. I think if it's going to be enforced in any way, perhaps we need to look at, again, maybe little post signs, you know, smattered throughout the town, up and down some of the main routes, just to kind of, you know, remind people, because it did not deter them whatsoever. And I wanted to give my take on this whole assessment thing. This is the most ridiculous thing I've seen in my 30 years of home ownership. What concerns me is the comments that the taxes are not going to go up. That is just an insane statement. Using my second grade math education, the thing that troubles me is we're going from a uniform percentage value of 80% to a total 100%. So I'm going to be taxed on 100% value of my home. I've already done the math. The per thousand rates are already set, and they were increased this year, as you're all aware. And the taxes on my home, just the county tax alone, is going to be another $270 a year. Town tax is going to be another $175 a year. That is in escrow, and therefore my mortgage payment's going to go up roughly $50 to $60 a month. So this is completely out of hand. To me, it's highway robbery. I don't believe there's a fair accounting of what we're getting for our money, to be honest with you. And that's my take on it. So I am forced to go through this grievance process. I did download the forms. They're as ridiculous as you can imagine. 4 pages of information that you have to somehow claw through old paperwork to try and find, you know, what'd you pay for the home, when did you buy it, you know, how many times do you go to the bathroom a day? I mean, it's just ridiculous. And I will say I feel a little put off that the assessor is not here tonight. I don't think there's any excuse for that. She should have been here tonight to address these questions. The other thing I have is the wife and I are constantly working in our yard, and we accumulate grass clippings and brush and things of that nature. We live on the corner. We don't have a hedgerow. We don't have places where we can put this stuff. Thankfully, Dale and his crew come out and picked up the brush. I just recall a time when there was a brush pickup day. Do we still do that? Is there a reason for that, or?
No funding.
So raise our taxes and lower our services? Is that what I'm hearing? And what about large appliance pickup day? You don't want refrigerators and things over in the e-waste pile. What do you do with those things?
Actually, the garbage company, if you call them, they'll come pick it up.
Yeah, but you gotta pay to empty the Freon out of it. They won't take it if it's full. These are just, again, concerns that people wonder, is there a place that I can take brush legally with my pickup truck and dump it?
Not in Shelby, Albion, across from the state police barracks by the prison. There's a dump over there.
Well, in an effort to keep the place looking nice, you can see where somebody might be deterred from, trimming limbs and things, and all of a sudden you got this big pile. They want you to cut it in 4-foot lengths and bundle it up, and, it's ridiculous. So to me, I just feel there should be a shared space that is either compost or, like over by Boxwood where they have the, chip pile, stuff like that, where you could take that stuff and dump it. I don't know where Dale took that stuff, but apparently that's a secret. And then the final thing, and I don't see it on the agenda, and I know we talked about it the last time, is the status of the wind turbines. Where are we at with that? And I'm sorry to interrupt. Let me preface that by saying, in bringing this up, is it fair to assume that the town council is working in favor of not having the windmills or allowing the windmills? What are your efforts focused towards? Are you allowed to answer that?
Right now, the town board efforts are focused on obtaining the information needed to go through the review process. And until this board has that information.
So this is not, again, it's not up for public vote. It's up to the town via resolution.
Well, there's a process that needs to be followed, and the town needs to go through that process right now. They don't have all the information.
I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that. We've been told that for several years now. I just need to know, I voted you people in. Are you for them or are you against them?
I'm gonna advise that question until we have.
All right, that's all I had. Thank you.
Thanks, Larry. Come on up.
Wasn't really prepared for this, but after the discussion's going. Jim Hemingway. I've lived in Shelby since about 1984, so I've been around and now living in the village. A couple of things that I'd like to talk to here. I understand the assessment process, and I understand placing a value on your home. It's tough to argue when you see other people overpay for properties, and I kind of understand why the assessor came to those values. The problem is the tax rates in general. Orleans County has for years been close to, and in fact last year, was number one in property taxes relative to property value. Number one. I don't see how that's going to change. I've got one current thing, it's still the same. For those of us on fixed income, this is a hell of a blow, because it's not just that the values have gone up, It's that the tax rates are going to be based on 100% assessment, and who's the town of Medina? I know it's not in your purview, but they talked about a 15% increase on the assessment rate or on the tax rate. So it's this is going to force people here to have to reevaluate, just not living in New York State, but living in this area at all. We've worked hard to get where we got. We did a lot of the work on the house ourselves, and consequently, it's fixed up. It's nice, all right? And I don't even necessarily argue the assessment. But unless our expenditures start meeting what the county is and what the income levels of this county are, it just isn't going to be able to sustain it. And again, not just you. The school taxes are based on a shrinking school population, and yet our taxes go up every year. We've got how many kids crammed into what is a high school? It used to have 4, it's got what, 6 grades in it now? That's how much it's shrinking, and our taxes go up every year? So Shelby's part of that. I'm sorry, but you know, you have to look at your expenditures also. So that's I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know how much longer that any of us can afford, especially those on fixed incomes, can afford this kind of expenditures for a village of this size, a shrinking village. Population is dropping in Orleans County, so it's not just at the town level, the village level, and it's at the county level. The state's bad enough, but here in this county, when you're number 1 for that particular thing, that's not a thing to be proud of. In terms of the windmills, I'd like to make one comment on that. I'd like to know, and I know you can't comment on whether you're for it or whatever. I understand you got to go through the seeker process. Understand it, been through it, looked at it in all directions. What I do have a question on is that other villages and other places, townships, have been through this and have come to determinations and come to conclusions. Has this board or has the law firm been in touch with those townships to see how they handled this process? Just one? Okay, but there's several. Okay. Okay, will you be using the same engineering firm that went through the seeker, because they made the they filled out the seeker for you folks? I understand, but you used an engineering firm, a particular engineering firm for that. It appeared to be highly flawed, and that's why I asked. Okay. Okay, and will we be notified of the startup again of the seeker process? Will there be public hearings with that, and we'll be able to sit here through that? Okay. 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 Would you be open for me to give you more information on other townships?
You're always free to send in more information to the town, and whatever you send, we'll take a look at it.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Thanks, Jim. Anybody else? Come on, don't be bashful. All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.